Hey, folks. Thank you for sticking with me. My sister texted me and said, "Don't stop." So I'm hoping this is a little bit better. I really appreciate you guys sticking with me, and I apologize for my non-professionality. Like I've said again and again, I want to just be myself. I'm not a professional YouTuber. I'm a professional mom. I'm a mental health professional. And I'm just me. Even in my profession, I've always just tried to be really down to earth and not put on any airs. And I know a lot of people appreciate that about me. So I try to appreciate it about myself. Anyway, I might not erase that previous video just because it's kind of hilarious. And then you see me get all pissed off at the end and lose my cool. But I turned it off before I started throwing things. So that was good. Haha, I'm kidding. Of course, I wasn't throwing things. Let me just address that for a minute. Because if you are the type of person that throws things, try to change that habit, because you might not be trying to hurt anybody, but you can certainly scare people and you can accidentally hurt somebody. So just saying. Or an animal too, right? I've got my puppy dogs running around here and all the fall leaves. So the thing that I was saying when I stopped is how criminals piss me off. So I was already getting angry. How they don't care that they involve complete innocent strangers into their shenanigans and often ruin their lives. For instance, think about this Nick guy right now, who I believe was working for AAA or working for a roadside assistance company that contracts with AAA and lives all the way over in Reno, but he was on his duty in the Truckee area, got called out to Boca and serviced a vehicle that it's almost 100% that vehicle was Kylie's vehicle, that vehicle was assisted. The assistance was paid for by a AAA service that was connected to Kylie, probably through her mother, maybe through her stepdad or her granddad or her dad, right? But anyway, we don't know the person that Nick said introduced herself to him as Kylie. We don't know if that was Kylie or not. And of course, he said that he was pretty sure it was Saturday, but he didn't sound 100% sure. And, a lot of people are trying to say, oh, he's a liar, he's bullshit. If he was a liar, if he was bullshit, he would probably be in police custody. Seriously, think about it. If he was not retracting his statement and it was simply incorrect, or if he had made something up to distract the Adventures with Purpose. I am disappointed so far that Adventures with Purpose hasn't come out and said anything. I would imagine that they will. Of course, they don't want to go against local law enforcement, but SF Investigates has called Adventures with Purpose straight up liars publicly on the internet. And if they're not liars, they have every right to sue his ass for a lot of money for slander. Because think about it, people. They make a lot of money from donations from people like me. And I'm probably not the only one who's not real happy with the situation that they're involved with and considering pulling donations. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to pull donations. I don't expect anybody to be perfect. I do expect them to have full integrity and to address everything that needs to be addressed. So let's give them time. My guess would be that they're consulting with their legal folk and that they're trying to figure it out. And my God, am I just like sabotaged? I hear like the loudest lawnmower in the background. Hopefully it's not too loud for you guys. I'll just try to speak loudly and get through my material here. So, we know that it was a boy and a girl, a young man and a young woman, somebody who resembled Kylie and introduced herself as Kylie, and somebody who resembled Jagger that might very well not be Jagger. So it very well might not be Jagger. It very well might not be Kylie. We don't know who these people are. But the dash cam surveillance video recorder that also has sound knows exactly who these people are. It has facial recognition and it has everything else. And my guess is that when AAA or the subsidiary that they contract through turned that surveillance footage over to government officials, to the law enforcement, my guess is that they still have a copy for themselves, right? And so even if something were to happen to it, if there were to be a glitch in the system, if it were to get lost or any of that other mumbo jumbo, there would still be a recording of it somewhere, I hope. So let's just get on with it. One of the things that I was looking at since last night was that invitation, that online invitation to this graduation party. Let's call it an alleged online invitation announcement for the alleged graduation party. It has a time on it. It says 9 p.m. and it has a place on it, but it doesn't have a date on it. So maybe there was another page that I wasn't looking at. Anyway, if you saw something different, please put it in the notes. And I really cannot even see the comments because of the sunshine. So I'm just going to keep on trucking. I have a bunch of stuff I want to get done today, and I just wanted to address a few of these things. So the rectangular segment of sand that was cordoned off with caution tape or crime scene tape at the time that they were pulling Kylie's vehicle out of Lake Prosser or Prosser Creek Reserve, that spot is fairly close to the water. And I'm thinking if there was something there connected to this case, didn't that water line change a lot during the time? During the time from when the alleged party happened until 2 weeks and a day or two later when they were pulling the vehicle out of the water. That water level went down, 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 down. I haven't looked at the charts to calculate. I'll rely on Living Lake Time and other people like that who are looking at those charts and calculating. But it's just very curious to me. So, the marks and the scars and the tattoos that were on the body of the deceased. And it did say 66 inches for height and 103 pounds for weight of the deceased remains. So that's 5'6". And, sometimes people get mismeasured. I know that it was on record that Kylie was 5'7". I'd be curious what her driver's license says as far as her height and her weight. And 103 pounds, I would think she would be weighing more with water absorption on her remains. And I don't know. It just doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. So, but I'm no expert in forensics. I'm no expert in coroner's reports, autopsy reports, although I have read some. And I've never seen one that said that the body was fully clothed and then went on to describe the body as Kylie's autopsy report did. So it says body's fully clothed, and then it goes on to describe those clothes. As I had mentioned, the black briefs that we've never heard about. And, it is very clear in the report that they're saying she was not sexually assaulted, which is a huge relief to me if that's true. But, I'm kind of not trusting anything that comes out of Nevada County. I'm sorry to say it, but why would I? So some of these things that were marked as unknown, I just don't understand. Like, maybe I didn't get to that part. Did they do a dental match on her? I don't know. The doctor who did the report works for the Prosser County, I believe. I mean, Nevada County contracts with Prosser County for a lot of these things. So even though the death investigation was in the hands of that Nevada County sheriff, she is still contracting with the Prosser County Sheriff's Department. So, it's just a whole big mess. So another question I had is, this autopsy was done on August 23rd. She was discovered on August 21st. Saturday evening was when they pulled her vehicle out of the water and completely, I believe, intentionally destroyed every single bit of evidence that they could by flipping that car over in the water and sending AWP off and allowing SF Investigates to stand around there with his arms hanging out of his pockets, like not knowing what to do with his long tattooed arms. I mean, he's such a fool. You guys realize that fire cam came from him, correct? Now, does anybody out there in YouTube land have any respect for this guy? The last thing I saw him on was Zav Girl, when he was biting his fingers like gah, 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 gah. And he'd been on his little YouTube discussion panel loop all day long. I think he was on Zav Girl till like 4 a.m. when Ryan Upchurch asked him a very pointed question, and then he said, "I gotta go." And then he got off of Zav Girl and started tweeting about what a bitch she was. I think he's on drugs. I mean, in my humble opinion. I know a lot of people are addicted to their substances. And like I said yesterday, I'm not going to knock anybody, but, get some help. It's not healthy. It's dangerous. You're a bad role model if you have children or loved ones. Take care of yourself, people. Take care of yourself. Take care of your loved ones. Take care of your pets. There's a lot more that I wanted to speak to. So a couple other channels that I wanted to give a shout out to. I've given a shout out to Cotton Candy Investigates 2.0 a number of times. Then there's that one in the UK. Oh man, what does she call herself? Crime Scenes Obsessed UK. I like her a lot. She's really sharp. There's a few others that are super sharp that I have not made mention of. And there's a few others, I'm sure, that are super sharp that I have never come across. So you guys keep making your recommendations as well. I appreciate that. And, we all have different ideas. We all cover different material with different expertise. And, there's so much to talk about in this case. And like I said yesterday, my feeling is that this case is just starting. So we'll see, we will see where it goes. But you got to remember things that happened before Megan and before the fire cam footage and before this release the night before last of the coroner's report, the autopsy report. So remember when the day they found her and Sammy took it upon herself to go online and say, "That's not Kylie." And I think she retracted it or corrected it later that day or the next day. But why would she say that? What would make her think that she knew from a distance that wasn't Kylie? She certainly wasn't with the family because, as we all saw, AWP called their family contact person that they were instructed to call in the event that there was anything significant, and this was certainly significant. They called their contact person, and then they called law enforcement, and then they just got on with their business the way they do because they're professionals and that's how they do it. They just stay focused. And, they have a whole lot of other cases to cover too. It was very nice of them to cover Kylie's case, and thank goodness that they did. And why did that upset so many people? Why was the law enforcement upset? Why was the mom upset? Why was Sammy upset? Why was Jagger upset? Why were these people upset? And I just want to say, in case you haven't caught on, I don't believe a single word Jagger says. I don't believe a single word Sammy says. I don't believe a single word SF Investigate says. And there's probably a few others that I do not believe a single word that they say, even though I'm sure some of what they say isn't inaccurate. How do you know, right? You know, habitual liars are habitual liars, and they're generally pretty good at it, even when they're talking out of both sides of their mouth and contradicting themselves in the same thought in the same sentence. They're still good at covering their tracks and confusing you. The gaslighting is what they do. It's their speciality, as I like to say. So I have said it again and again that I still question if Kylie was kidnapped. And if she was kidnapped and then put there, whether she was put there that same night or put there some other night or some other day, I mean, I would think it was at night when people can see less. If she was kidnapped, the FBI would need to remain involved until they could rule out for 100% sure that she was not kidnapped. And in the event that they're not getting cooperation from local law enforcement, they need to commandeer the case. They have that authority to just say, you're out. This is us. We got this. Right? Those words, we got this. So, why on earth would law enforcement allow the death of a minor to go unpunished? Because that's what they're trying to do with this accidental drowning. Okay, well, let's say it was an accidental drowning. Let's just say that her lungs weighed a lot more than what you said they weighed, that you were misrepresenting the weight, or that you just took a guess. And so anyway, if she drowned accidentally, why wouldn't that be getting investigated? How did she drown accidentally? You have a 16-year-old, healthy, vibrant, wonderful individual who is deceased, who has had her life extinguished very, very young, a month before she turned 17. And what is this whole thing with the 17? I know it's on her hip. I know it ties into that Odd Future musician that, Sammy's got the Odd Future t-shirt where she wrote the Find Kylie on the side of it, all disproportionate and weird because she didn't want to write over her little square. That was weird. Like, she could have just written straight over that or gotten another t-shirt, right? Or turned the t-shirt inside out. I mean, come on. Or written it right under that. I mean, it's just so freaking weird. These people, in my opinion, are all on drugs. They're all just completely nuts. So let me see if there's anything else I really want to include. I've said this before, never believe the first story a suspect tells you. Never, ever, ever, ever. And that's how law enforcement is trained. You never believe the first story a suspect tells you. You rarely believe any story a suspect tells you. Fact. I also wanted to talk for a minute about In Cold Blood by Truman Capote and Dragnet with Sergeant Joe Friday. People might have information that's different than this, but my understanding is Dragnet pretty much started the whole true crime documentary type of series on television. That every single Law and Order, CSI, all these shows are based off the Dragnet model. Dragnet was started by, I can't think of his name right now, the guy who plays Joe Friday. He was an actor who starred in On the Waterfront. No. He starred in a different movie with Marlon Brando. I think it was called The Men. And he plays a wounded soldier. And dang it, if I could think of his name, I'll put it in the comments. So he made his money in Hollywood acting, and then he decided to start the Dragnet show because he wanted to help society fighting crime. So that was his contribution. And I don't know about you, but I love Dragnet. I love all the old Dragnets. I haven't seen any of the new ones. Um, but I love Joe Friday. Just the facts, ma'am. And is that right? I love his dry humor. I love that man. I want to say his name is Jack somebody, but like I said, I'll look it up. I'm sure you guys are putting it in the comments and I just can't read it out here in the bright sunshine. So Truman Capote, who wrote In Cold Blood, that's also a true story. He was writing for the New Yorker magazine, and they sent him to the town where this horrible tragedy happened so that he could cover the story. And he did. And it went on and on and on and on. He ended up living there for 5 or 6 years. He had his assistant, the one who wrote To Kill a Mockingbird. She was his assistant when he worked for the magazine. So he got the magazine to agree to send her to help. And then he kind of made best friends with one of the perpetrators and fell in love with one of the perpetrators. And as most people know, Truman Capote was a crazy alcoholic. He died fairly young from destroying his body with alcohol. And he destroyed his life with alcohol too. And he, just like was off his rocker. But he was an amazing writer. And he kind of changed the way literature is written in our culture, much the way Hemingway did. And he also laid the groundwork for true crime. So Seymour Hoffman Phillip that did the remake of In Cold Blood. And that is such a classic story. I mean, it's horrible, it's heinous, it's hideous. And the first movie that was made as soon as the book was published was made with Truman Capote's assistance and oversight. And it was done very much like the book. I've both read the book and seen the movie and seen the newer movie. Both of those movies are done very well. But Robert Blake, Beretta, played Perry in the movie. And he's just a heartbreaking character. It's also heartbreaking how Robert Blake's life ended up much like where his career started. How art reflects life reflects art. I mean, very, very sad. Beretta was a great series. Robert Blake turned out to be a complete lowlife. Shot his girlfriend in the car when they got into an argument leaving a restaurant in Los Angeles. Just really, really ridiculous. Anyway, I just wanted to discuss those things. For anybody who's not familiar with In Cold Blood, you probably want to familiarize yourself if you're into true crime. It's an absolute masterpiece. And also Dragnet, early Dragnet. I don't know about this later Dragnet, this remake that they did these last few years. I didn't check it out at all. I don't even know who starred in it. But let's remember that the people who are saying that there's no foul play in Kylie's demise are the same ones who said they cleared the reservoir. Excuse me, I'm like spitting while I'm talking. I'm getting a little too excited. The same people that said that they had cleared that reservoir again and again and again, rigorously, and some more again. You don't need to waste your time looking there. These are the same people who are saying it was an accidental drowning. We don't really know what happened, but we know there was no foul play, even though she was in the back, potentially strapped down, and other weird information like the shoes, one shoe on, one shoe off. And then the shoes that are in that still shot from the convenience store, the last proof of life, looks to me like a white plastic Birkenstock type of sandal on one foot. You can't see what's on the other. Looks like she's got like a white sock on and a Birkenstock Arizona style strap sandal over it, maybe. So I've gone over this, but I want to hit it home again. The interfering with an investigation is punishable by prison. Okay. Anybody interfering with an investigation should be arrested. And if Nick, the roadside assistance guy, was interfering with an investigation by providing inaccurate information or lies, he should be punished for that. Anybody should be punished. If he was simply mistaken, then he doesn't need to be punished, but he would need to make a retraction publicly and say, oh, gee whiz, sorry, folks, I was mistaken. None of that has happened, and my guess is that it won't. But we'll see. There was one more thing on here that the rush to cremation. Okay. Why was Kylie cremated so quickly? I sure hope that her father and her grandfather had a say in that. Custodial parent would have full say without any influence from a non-custodial parent, in my understanding. But if this custodial parent failed to keep their child safe, then the custody should have been transferred. Child Protective Services should have gotten involved and said, even post-mortem, you failed to keep your teenager safe. You were allowing her, by your own admission, to drive around after hours by your own admission. Breaking the law is breaking the law. You can't cherry pick what laws you're going to enforce and what laws you're not going to enforce. Although it sounds like in Truckee, they don't really cherry pick. They just don't enforce anything. Okay. I'm glad I took a water break there, because I want to encourage anybody who has not checked out Lake Time Living to not only go check out his channel, but he's selling some cool Truckee t-shirts and sweatshirts and hoodies right now. And I don't know, I'm going to get some. I think it's cool that he's doing that. I hope it's his own design. That was my first thought was, yikes, is that a design that I saw somewhere else? Did he get permission to use it? Casey, I'm not criticizing you if you're watching this. Just, you might want to switch it up if that is a thing. Otherwise, run with it. So thanks so much for watching, people. And as much as I am going to try to take the rest of the weekend off, you'll probably see me tomorrow, right? We know that. Have a good weekend. Take care of yourself. Drink your water. Eat your fruits and veggies. Be kind. Stay away from mean people.